Hey, if you want to do that instead, go ahead, go for it. Name funny color combinations. I won't stop you. Magenta and chartreuse. That's... Though I think at that point I'm just naming funny colored names. I might even still color his head a different color. Color their heads a different color. We'll see what happens here. I don't know yet. The pauldrons might be a different color than what we've said. I don't know yet. We'll find out. You know, even in the bottle, this color looks more blue than it really is. Like, once you start getting it down over something lighter, it really stops looking blue, starts looking purple. By the way, blue and gunmetal wouldn't be a bad combination as long as you made the blue a really bright blue, bright light blue, and you made sure to keep the gunmetal, you know, gunmetal dark. As gunmetal should be. You know, my last, like, 3 streams I've done, someone has come in and tried to song request stuff. Unsuccessfully, because I didn't have song request on, because the stuff was going on YouTube. This is not going on YouTube. I have song request on. Never showed up. Grayish blue? Ah. Well, if you want that, you're stressed out of luck. No, I know. I have an idea of what these guys are going to look like in the end. I have a better idea about what the armor is going to look like than the rest of them. About what the purple armor is going to be like. The rest of it, I don't know yet. Okay. Let's make sure we don't miss any spots on this guy. Well, yeah. Well, they're complementary colors. A bronze gold is more yellow. Purple is, the absolute opposite of yellow. I mean, those are always going to look good across the table from each other. Those are always going to look good across from each other. That's why, one suggestion for working with yellow is when you're putting down the shadows, mix purple into it. You'll get kind of a really it's gonna look weird at first, but you'll get a kind of a browny orangey yellow, but it works really, really good as a yellow shadow. I was just saying, I gotta get the armor done on this guy, because I think we've settled on or at least I've settled on like a creamy bone. This purple that's going to be not this purple, but something else. As I said, their faces might still end up being a different color. Dark gray bone and a purple. But since the purple's the majority of the armor, the purple's got to get done first, and that will help dictate the rest of the paint job. By the way, another classic combination that always seems to pan out well is purple and green. With the gold, dark elves, classic dark elves color scheme. That always pans out pretty well. Well, there was someone in here earlier. He made some suggestions, and I'm just like, that actually sounds pretty good. So that's what I ended up with. And not that I don't appreciate your suggestions either. I'll keep yours in mind, and we can do it on something else. As I said, I have some Tau, and like the Riptide is being painted. I don't play Tau, by the way, so I just happen to have some Tau that are mine that I know I'm not planning on keeping, so I don't care. They don't have to be any consistent color with one another. So I'm planning on painting the Riptide like military green with orange, like bright orange striping. But I also have a pair of broadsides, the newer broadside models, and those are open for. I mean, I tried painting them once, and I was okay with it at first, but I ended up not liking what was happening with them. So eventually, I just set them aside and said I will come back to them when I'm feeling inspired again, and just have never come back to them yet. And I still plan on going back to them. I just don't know when right now. But yeah, they're completely open as far as what I could paint them. So, I'll keep your colors in mind. I'll keep any other suggestions in mind for things like that, where I'm not restricted. My biggest fear, though, is one of these days I'm going to get like a model donated to me and sent to me through the mail or something. And they'll be like, have the stream pick out the color, and then send it back to me, because I'll send it back to him if he really wanted me to, as long as he paid for the shipping. He gets it back, and it's like pink and It's like pink. It's like pink and baby blue. We made it as unappealing as possible. Isn't blue and yellow Yandin? The Yandin Eldar colors? So, like, there is a precedent for Eldar having that, I believe. Unless I'm getting my Eldar wrong. Which is entirely possible, considering Eldar are like the... I paint models professionally. I've never touched an Eldar model in my life. No one's ever asked me to paint Eldar. Well, if you love painting organic things, Tyranids are perfect for that. So good on you and your nids. I got a bunch of nids. Nids are my third army. Fourth army. Nids are my fourth army. Just because that's how it happened to work out. Because my first army... My first army was Blood Angels, and then my second army was Orcs. Well, actually, no, my second army was Dark Eldar. My third army was Orcs. Fourth army, though, because there's no denying this one. My fourth army is Tyranids. To get myself started and to expand my Blood Angels, I bought the Death Storm or whatever that was called. The Shield of Baal Death Storm pack that came with Tyranids and Blood Angels in it. And came with that like exclusive Broodlord model. That's like really awesome looking and massive. Well, they weren't sold out in my local game store when I got it. Then I got it, and I'm like, I think I'll start collecting Tyranids since I have this anyways. So I did. Because I'm a jerk. Then I got a Flying Hive Tyrant as an additional HQ choice. Or, yeah, well, a Hive Tyrant. You can make the flying one in that kit, so... But that flyer's the ones I built. I also got some Zoanthropes. Which I thought about magnetizing, and I was like, no, that's a lot of effort. And then I came to the realization that after I had finished putting them together, that the Venom Throat part and the Zoanthrope part was exchangeable at were changeable at exactly 1 point. The entire upper torsos for both of them were completely different and completely intact all on their own. So my decision to not magnetize them ended up being ridiculous. Ended up not being the best choice I could have made. I could have just magnetized them and it would have been great. And then I got the Swarm box set that came with the Carnifex, so now I have 2 Carnifexes. It came with like I think 40 Termagants, 40 Hormagaunts, and 10 Gargoyles. Whatever. A lot of models. So that is presently my Tyranids army. Not a great composition, but not a great composition, but it's playable and fun, which is what I wanted most out of Tyranids. I wanted it to be fun. I'm half expecting this computer to once again come at me and be like, we really want you to restart so we can install these updates. Would you please? And I'll say no again, and then when it comes back in like 10 minutes, it'll be like, now we're not giving you a choice, and then I'll disappear. Well, thankfully now, Carnifexes are... Not only can you get like a box of... I think you can get a box of 2 now. So you can get it... So that's a little bit cheaper, I believe, than just the standard Carnifex. So you can get 2 Carnifexes now together in one box. Which is awesome. And... they're actually good. The Carnifex, you know, this is something that made it so silly too. Carnifexes and the Hive Tyrant. I did actually decide, hey, I want to magnetize this for the weapon options. Which made me feel even more ridiculous when I finally put together the Zoanthropes and realized that I could have easily done the magnetization on them. And would have lost nothing. I just would have ended up with no extra bits. The Horsebrooks, or however you pronounce it. I know it's based off a Greek name, but that doesn't really match what the lore says. The Horsepex. Jesus, was that the one that when the Codex, is that the one when the Codex came out? That was the one, the big gaping maw, and it ate things, or was it one of the later releases, like with the Mycetic Spore or whatever that was, the drop pod thing? And the thing with the brains and stuff. You'll have to refresh my memory. I don't remember. It's not because I don't pay attention. It's just because it's been a while since I've looked at buying models. It's a different swarm box than what I got. There are two Tyranid swarm boxes. There's one with that thing in it, and there's the other one. That's the one I got. It was the other one. The one I got was the itty bitty Griblies. The one you're talking about is the bigger guys, I believe. Yeah, yeah. I think mine was just called the Hive Swarm or something like that. Because doesn't the Chitinous Swarm also come with a Hive Tyrant? And it may also just be a web bundle. Or a web exclusive thing. Whereas in the one I got was obviously in my local game store. By the way, if it was a web exclusive, I would never have actually bought that. Just because at the time when I was getting these, I was living in Michigan, and my local game store yeah. My local game store was 25% off all GW figures. Or everything GW, so. Like, if I couldn't get that in the store, it was more cost effective for me to pick up every single one of the guys in the set individually because I saved more money that way. Again, I lived in Michigan. They don't even have. Okay, they have one, but it was nowhere near where I lived. It was way, way out of the way. Okay, let me rephrase that. It was a little over an hour away from where I lived, but before that, just like 5 years ago, there were two that were less than 20 minutes away from where I lived. One got closed down because GW decided it didn't want to pay the rent. And I think the other got closed down not because they didn't want to pay the rent. I think it was just part of their downscaling move back when they were deciding to either close stores or make them one-man operations as a cost-cutting measure because their profits were going down. And this, and then the sad thing is too, and I hate to say this, but if we don't see GW's financials starting to turn around a lot better than they have been lately, we're probably going to see the death of GW stores altogether. Like, and they're not going to like, I mean, GW does not want to do that. But at the same time, they're also not giving you that much of an incentive to go to their own stores. They have one guy running it whose entire purpose there, who they want more than anything, pushing product onto new players, which means anyone who's not a new player, you're more likely to get ignored. So now it's just not super friendly to go there, at least not as much as your, local independent-owned retailers are now. And on top of that, like, these are GW's own stores, and they can't competitively price their miniatures for sale against other places. Well, I mean, they also have the benefit of, they don't rely entirely on their games, Games Workshop games being successful, but it says a lot when they're probably not making that much of a profit, but they're still discounting it 20-25%. I think that's one move GW really, really needed to try. I mean, in addition to rethinking their pricing in general, but which they've said they're not going to do. But just give us an incentive to go to your actual stores. Even if it wasn't a full-time, all the time, everything's, 25% off. What they could do instead is do, okay, we'll give you 10% off pre-orders. And let's say every month or every 2 weeks or something like that, a certain army or a certain set of models. They could be old models, new models. It could just be a rotation. It'll figure something out. It doesn't have to be figured out right now, but a certain set of models are 30% off. And it might be different for each store. Like GW could just send their store managers a little thing that says, okay, you're allowed to put this many types of boxes or, this many models on discount for 30% off. And you have to follow these restrictions, and it's like none of this certain type of model, or nothing over this certain price or under this certain price. Or it can only be so many, blister packs. Just something. Say you do 10. It has to be 5 fantasy, 5 40K. Only 2 can be individual blisters. Everything else, any boxes that are older than 2 months. Or older than 6 months old. Something like that. And it give you an incentive because you don't know what's on sale until you get there. I mean, with the exception that maybe you can call the store and ask the manager, but the manager may not know for sure yet, or, might have gives you a reason to go. And makes them competitive without everything being discounted. Like, if I went and, let's say, the new Eldar Wraiths. Right, Wraiths. Are they Wraiths? Wraths? Wretches? I don't remember. The Dark Eldar, not Eldar, Dark Eldar, I think they're Wraiths or whatever. Those were 30% off. While I'm there, since I'm picking up, let's say, 4 boxes of these anyways, I might buy the new flyer for full price. Because I'm spending money right now anyways. And they're giving me a good deal. Why not? Of course, though, I mean, at the same time, there are other people, and this is the kind of thing I would do, because this is the way I think. I would wait to see if, like, within the next few months, if the flyer gets discounted too. But I would still end up coming back. Now, wouldn't I? If it ended up getting discounted. And at 30% off, I mean, for your local game store to be able to do 25% off, and that's 30% off, I don't see how they couldn't do that and not be profitable, especially if they're starting to actually get really good turnover, because they're getting people in because of things like that. Because, like, I think another thing that they stopped doing that was a big mistake was the Skulls program. Because it took forever to gather the skulls, but it gave you incentive to buy at the GW store. You save up skulls, you get rewards. It was cool. I mean, tell me if you think it's a bad idea, what I'm suggesting here. Because I could see how people could argue it being bad, too. But I'll tell you something else as well. If you are announcing you have a sale, yeah. But here's the other thing, too. Let's say you have a big board outside, and it says, 30% off select items in store. Let's say they figure out some, arbitrary method of marking them, like, red tags or something. Red tag sale. Let's say that. I don't know if they could do that, just because that might be something that a certain store has trademarked. But something like that. People passing by are more likely to come in and look. Though I tell you, back in the day, I used to hear some really fun stories from GW employees about store employees about some of the weird stuff they'd have happen in there. They were telling me about There was one time someone came in and like meticulously looked over every shelf in the store, at every box and every blister, and then came to the front, just looked to the looked to the two guys behind the counter, and said, "So where are the games?" Because with a name like Games Workshop, I guess he was expecting video games. I should probably read your comment. Actually, that wouldn't be a bad idea either. Though, the problem is that running a sale like that during a tournament distracts who would essentially be the judge. However, this goes back to the whole having the one-man operation's dumb. I mean, they don't even have a backup guy. If the store manager, and I looked at applying at Games Workshop before to work. Thank goodness I didn't, because I'd be unemployed now. Even if I got the job, I'd be unemployed now. But yeah, they have it set up in such a way where if the manager that's supposed to run it gets sick, the store just doesn't open. So now they're not selling anything. And you can't ask the guy to come in sick. I mean, you can, but you're not supposed to. That's kind of not right. So now the store is not open. Now it can't make any money. And this is why the one-man operations are kind of dumb. So if they could at least have a schedule where maybe it's 3 men and maybe they only have 1 or 2 at any given time in there. So it would still be like the one-man operation, just with, you know, more guaranteed hours and stuff like that of operation. And then for tournaments, then you could run for tournaments along with the sale. Then you bring all 3 guys in. And you've got 1 guy who can definitely help customers who are looking. 1 guy who can ring them up, one guy who can ring them up, and they can switch positions. And you've got all 3 guys can, be judges, or at least help with judging. You know, as long as they have decent knowledge of the rules, which I believe, at least it used to be, a requirement to work there. So one would hope that they know the rules. Also, there wasn't too many places hiring for GW employee positions. Yeah, but I had a thought and I lost it. I had a thought, and I lost it. Actually, 20% off. A 20% off flash sale during tournaments. Oh, I remember what was going on. About the, they weren't hiring for employees. Yeah, there weren't really many GWs that were hiring for employees. So, like, I could apply for management. And, like, of all the requirements, or all the suggested requirements, I guess would be the better way of putting it, management experience wasn't one of them. At least not that I recall back then. Like, you had to know the rules, and you had to be able to do certain skills, certain, like, computer skills. Like, you can do Microsoft Excel, because, like, that's how inventory is done, is on an Excel spreadsheet, basically. So things like that were a requirement, but they did not care one bit if you had management experience. And the reason for that was because they sent you to school. You actually had to go to, like, Chicago. If they hired you to be a manager, you had to go to Chicago to take classes. And I think they pay you for the classes, but they don't pay for, like, accommodations. So it's one of those situations. Okay. Go on home. I didn't know you were at work. Or somewhere. I'm just assuming you were at work. Head home. Have a wonderful day. And happy painting. I mean, I'm just doing simple paint jobs today. Eventually, I'll start doing some more heavy labor-intensive paint jobs, higher quality, at some point. But I like to teach, so. And it's hard to start from the high end when you want to teach people. The only downside to you leaving is now I have no one else to talk to. Wait. That's the major downside to you leaving. Not the only. You're a nice guy. I like talking to you. There's other people in the audience, but they haven't said anything. Jerks. No, you're not jerks. I love you. Please don't go. I'm lonely. Like, Cryptstick can go. I mean, everyone else stay. Now that I'm feeling lonely, you don't have the choice. You have to stay. Or face annihilation. Annihilation's a good threat. Streaming for a full 3.5 hours, and I've been painting for maybe an hour of it. Maybe an hour of it. I don't know how long I've been trying to put this base coat on. I spent a good long time figuring out what the heck this base coat was going to be, so couldn't have been too long. Oh, thank you for the follow, Cryptstick. Is my thing not popping up again? Whatever. By the way, to anyone thinking, well, man, you know, putting on this base coat, it's just a base coat. It'd be so much faster if you used the airbrush. Yes, you're right. It would have been faster if you used the airbrush, but I would be paying less attention to chat. So I tend to zone chat out when I'm airbrushing. That's not right, man. Especially considering that's the point of streaming if you're not chatting. Well, I mean, there are points to it, but I mean, I don't see a point for me if I'm not chatting. It's like when I stream games. Because I do that too, just not on this channel. Like, it's fun. It's fun to play games, but I don't see the point of streaming a game if I'm not chatting with someone. Which will be like which will be like I'll have days where I'm streaming games when I can, because I can't right now because my computer died, which is why the fixed computer thing's up in the corner. But I'm streaming games, and I've not had anyone to talk to all day, and I look and there's no viewers, no one to talk to. I'm just be like, yeah, I'm not having fun. So I can't play anymore because now I'm just getting, you know, frumpy and grumpy, and there's no point in trying to stream when you're not in a good mood. So I just, you know, stop streaming. And that's kind of the funny thing too about streaming games. Games so much more popular on here, but I will more likely get more viewers, more consistently get viewers when I paint. So it's a weird trade. When I do get my computer fixed, though, I'm gonna on my streaming channel, because I have a streaming channel. Which I have no reason to share because I can't stream on that channel because I don't have anything to stream. I was actually about to start just streaming RPGs, just marathoning RPGs, having like a random selection. I had a virtual like wheel spinny set up with bells and whistles and everything, and I was about ready to, like, the next day pull that out and be like, okay, let's stream some a stream from RPGs, and then I was going to spin it and see what came up. And that night, my PSU died. Which makes you beg the question, well, what are you streaming on right now? I'm glad you asked. I'm on my wife's laptop. That cannot... That... One... I'd have to download a lot of stuff again to start doing the gaming streams. Two, I don't like playing games on laptops in the first place, even if a lot of them were going to be really simple RPGs like the original Final Fantasy, because there's no version of the original Final Fantasy that you can't play in some way. More than likely. On most computers, at least. Because most computers are comparable to the PlayStation 1, and the PlayStation 1 is the most advanced system, except for maybe the Game Boy Advance. I don't know what its comparatively to the PlayStation 1 would be, but that's besides the point. There's, as far as I know, no version of the that any computer I can't play, but I'd still have to download the stuff to play it. And I don't want to start filling my wife's laptop with a bunch of stuff for something that's more recreational, less work. So in the meantime, I do this, hope for tips. Because you never know, people might be nice and give you tips. And either get enough money to fix my computer that way, or I'm gonna have to wait till about Christmas. By the way, tips are for people who are thoroughly entertained and like what I'm doing. So, I'm not meeting those criteria. Don't feel the need to tip me. It's entirely a criteria you decide on your own. But that's just Patreon. That's just stream stuff. If you want to directly support the painting portion, though, for absolute certainty, support the painting portion. I also have the option to do Patreon if you want. But however, Patreon is a little stunted at the moment because patron exclusive videos were supposed to be completely tutorials, and again, that's my computer. and I can't produce videos, and it's a per video, and it's right now per video a setup. So I can't produce videos to earn money on the Patreon anyways. Yeah, not a great business model. If you're on the side of being broke and don't have any way to make the stuff that you need to do. By the way, if you do follow me on YouTube, when I finally do get my computer fixed, I do tutorials, discussions. Considered the idea of a podcast at some point with viewers or patrons that have shown themselves to be level-headed enough to handle that sort of thing. As well as patron exclusive. I don't do patron exclusive content necessarily, but if you are on my Patreon, there are certain levels where you will get invited to things like Dungeons and Dragons games I will DM done online, or Pathfinder. Starting to really like Pathfinder, so I'm thinking more like Pathfinder, but you know what I mean. I'm sorry if my shameless self-promotion is chasing people away. I have nothing else to discuss at the moment. I'm just rambling for no reason. So I apologize if my discussion of me trying to make money to fix things so that I can entertain people is turning people away. So I'm not asking for a paycheck. I'm asking for I'm asking for funding to help entertain people. If that funding happens to go towards bills I need to pay, that's one thing. Because I can't do this without electricity or internet. So, paying an electricity or internet bill is supporting the channel. Just so no one's confused. Though, if you're wondering about the preferred way of supporting me, and something that I can helps me directly give back to you as well as everyone watching, I'm a commission painter for stuff like this. These just happen to be mine for now, until I hopefully do a giveaway with them. Which, by the way, follow me on YouTube for that. By the way, another thing, can't do a giveaway without internet. So bear that in mind. Or yeah, without my computer. Without my computer, because I can't do the stuff I need to do the stuff that I want. Point is, when it comes down to fixing my computer or doing a giveaway for these models, I'm fixing my computer. No offense. I would have had the money to fix my computer if I hadn't bought these in the first place. So when I go to a convention in September, there's I'm going to have a table that I'm going to paint at in the convention, and while I'm there, any models I have on display are going to be for sale, which would include these. So someone gives me a good offer, like, you know, $120. I'll take the $120. Though on the bright side, after I fix my computer, whatever's left over from that, I can always rebuy these models and still do the giveaway. I just have to paint them again, so it would take a little longer. So don't worry, if I sell them, I'd still do the giveaway. Because I'll make a profit. Because that's the idea. You make a profit. And then I use the excess to fulfill my promises that I couldn't fulfill without selling them in the first place. See? See, everything works out. It's all good. I really feel like I'm putting my foot in my mouth. Can someone please give me something to talk about? Please, someone. Something that's not going to make me look like a you know, self-promoting swill. Something that's going to make me look so desperate while I beg for a topic. And none of that stuff from the other night, I'm not talking about that again. I already gave my opinion on that. If you want to find out that opinion, go watch the broadcast while it's still in the videos on demand thing, because I'm not making a highlight. I'm not making a highlight of just me talking about current events for no apparent reason. Man, if I thought there was going to be this low of a turnout, I would have set myself up better for YouTube. Though at the same time, no one wants to sit there and watch an hour of a guy putting one color on 10 models. So it's not like I could put this on YouTube anyways. I could put parts of it on YouTube. I guess I could highlight base coating one model, but then we run into the problem of my talking. When doing so much talking, it's hard to say what talking should be cut and what talking should be put on. I mean, the conversation between me and Cripstick here that I had when he was still here. That's a problem with conversations like this. When you transfer things to YouTube, no one can, unless you have it displayed on the screen, no one can see the conversation. And that might be something I'll do in the future. If we're starting to have more conversation-heavy streams, I might put the chat log on screen so people can see what I'm responding to, for highlights and purposes like that. Also, if I do have a more chat-heavy stream, interesting topics might come up that might make for good highlights. So that's always a possibility. Gotta always be thinking of ways to use what you got to your advantage. You know, my phone went off and I didn't even check to see what it was. It could have been a new follower and I didn't thank them. And now I feel like a jerk. Because apparently the follower thing's not popping up. Alright, that's 10 guys. That's 10 guys all base coated with their purple armor. Oh, no, it wasn't. All right. I hate to call it quits here, but I can't really get into the next part because they're not all dry yet. And apparently there are places I missed. I need to double check them and make sure they don't need and none of them needed second coat anywhere. And like this guy. This guy apparently I didn't get down there in the neck crevice. How did I miss that? I don't know. But I did. But yeah, they need time to dry. I need to look them over to see if they need a second coat. So I can't wash them right now. I can't give them like a shade with a wash or anything like that. So, and then anything else I do, I try to base coating anything else. I don't have the time for that. Because my wife's going to get home and she's going to want dinner. So I guess I got to go. I might be on later tonight. I might not be. I don't know. We'll see. Peace out. Love you. Thanks for the support. That number was 34 when we started. That's awesome.